tier ranking every single book that I've read this year. I'm so sorry if you hear my computer wheezing over here. She's a little old, so she makes a lot of noise. Like I said, I'm gonna be tier ranking every single book I read this year, and I'm absolutely so excited. I've never done this before, but I've seen it all over the internet, and I knew I was gonna make this video in probably March, and I have been excited and wanting to make it ever since. So I'm super excited for this. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and this is not in a specific order. I think it's just the order was in my folder on my computer. So unfortunately this is not the order that I read in, but I don't think that matters that much. To go over the tiers I have, the highest tier I have is Would Erase My Memory to Read Again. I feel like that's self-explanatory. These are like my 5, 6, a million star reads. And then I have the tier under that is Best of This Year. Those are probably like 4.5 stars, 3.5 stars. Even though I didn't rate, I don't know why I'm deciding to split that into half stars, because I haven't rated any of these half stars. I didn't do half star ratings this year, so I don't know why I said that, but I feel like you know what I mean. Okay, and then after that is Good, Just Not Life-Changing. Like probably these are books I would absolutely recommend, but I don't think about super often or just didn't really change my life. And then I have a tier for mixed feelings, because I feel like there's some books out here that I don't know where they would go, so I'm gonna put them there. And then the last and final tier is I Wish I Hadn't Read This. And unfortunately, that tier is there because there are some books out here that I already know are gonna go in there. So let's get started. The first book I have is Fahrenheit 451, which is interesting because I would say in there. Good, Just Not Life-Changing. Very good book. I highly suggest reading that. It's very relevant to right now, I think, even though it wasn't written recently, so I think that's really cool. But it's not like I think about that book all the time. I mean, like I definitely think of it fondly, so I don't know. Next we have A Court of Silver Flames, which I'm putting in I Wish I Hadn't Read This. I thought that this book was gonna be different in the Agatar series because at least it follows Nesta and not Farah. I think it's the same as all of them and I don't like that series, so that's why that's going there. Okay, and then we have The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I'm gonna put that in mixed feelings because I feel like it was good, but it just was kind of boring. But at the same time, it's connected to such a big series that I'm thinking that it probably gets better as it goes on. I just don't know. And I haven't seen that much about it. So if you've read this book and you think that series is really good, please tell me. Please convince me to read it because the first book was so like snoozy. I don't really know. Oh, and then we have Butcher Blackbird, which is also, I wish I hadn't read this. It's so ridiculous. The premise of serial killer romance is not even what bothers me. I just thought it was written badly. So that's why it goes there. Then we have Everything I Know About Love, which is Best of This Year. What a good memoir. I highly recommend. Then we have The Assassin's Blade. So in my opinion, the start of Photoglass, and I would say good, just not life-changing. Oh, Ashes on the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent also goes in I Wish I Hadn't Read This, which I'm really sad about because The Serpent Wings of Night I thought was fantastic. That book was so good. It was such a good romantasy. And then the sequel, awful. I hated that book. Cruel Winter with You. Honestly, I do kind of wish I hadn't read that. Nothing against Ali Hazelwood. I thought it was just way too short. It was like 65 pages. How do you expect me to grow connected to characters and enjoy a storyline through 65 pages? Okay, so then we have Golden Sun, which is, I would erase my memory to read that again. Oh my gosh, I love that book. Bride is gonna be Best of This Year. I love Ali Hazelwood. I read 3 books by her, and then, well, I guess 4 actually, because of the Christmas novella, and then also that audiobook thing she did with Spotify, but I'll get to that later. Okay, next we have Funny Story, which is Best of This Year. I think I need to do a reread though, because I remember I was moving in the middle of reading that book, so I feel like there was maybe 50 pages left and I had not read it. I hadn't picked up the book for like a week. So when I read the last bit, it was like in the middle of the conflict and I was like, oh my gosh, I hate this. But I really liked the book overall. Anyways, I'm just kind of rambling, but I think I need to reread that book. Okay, then we have Ink Cold Blood, which I have mixed feelings about. It was also kind of boring. So I wanted it to be more of a thriller, like, ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat, and it really wasn't. Okay, then we have Gone Girl, which I think is good, just not life-changing. That's one of the better thrillers that I read this year, and it was definitely crazy. A lot of twists and turns, plot twists I did not expect, that kind of stuff, but it still didn't give me, like, it didn't scare me. which is what I wanted. Okay, then we have holiday romance, which is good, just not life-changing. That is the best holiday romance book I've ever read. I really, really enjoyed that one. It's super cute and not too Christmassy, so it's not too cheesy. It's more focused on the characters than the holiday, which I really enjoyed. Then we have Just for the Summer, which is best of this year, which is crazy because I have another Abby Menace book on here and you're gonna see where that goes. But I love the characters to Just for the Summer. Okay, and then we have Not Another Love Song, which is also a best of this year because that book really just took me by surprise. I had a lot of fun reading about the two musicians and the chemistry and like the tension. There was a lot of tension in that book and I love tension. Okay, then we have Empire of Storms, which is best of this year. Empire of Storms is when it changed for me. That's when Throne of Glass started to get good for me. So it really holds a special place in my heart for that. Okay, then we have a book called Rosemary and Rue, which was, it's just not for me, I don't think. I just wish I hadn't read it. Like, not that the book is bad, I don't know. It wasn't fantasy enough for me, and I wonder if that's just because it's the first of a series or because of the author. I'm not sure. But next we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, which I thought was good, just not life-changing. I do want to read more Frederick Bachman. I know he's like a very emotional writer. And that was cute. It was a really good book. I didn't cry, which I'm not sure if that's a book that's supposed to make you cry, but I know a lot of his books make you cry. Okay, then we have Reading in the Dark. I forget who wrote that, but it's a story about a man growing up in Ireland during the Troubles, like the time period between Ireland and England that was not very good, to put it simply. But I really liked the concept and the idea of it, but I really wish that it had given me more. Okay, then I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which is good, just not life-changing. It's a cute little cozy fairy tale kind of book, and I really liked it, but I don't think about it that much. And then we have Herc, which is cute. That was like a fun book. It's people talking about, it's like a it kind of reminds me of like a sitcom like The Office, where it's like if you imagine them like a bunch of different characters in Hercules' life, and then they're just sitting there kind of talking shit about him. So it's like really fun. It's like talking shit in ancient times. Okay, then we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, which is best of this year. I really, really liked that book, like a whole lot. It was different for Ali Hazelwood, and I love that book. Moving on to Graveyard Shift. I thought it was, okay, so that's by ML Rio, who wrote If We Were Villains, and I didn't love If We Were Villains, but I really did like Graveyard Shift. I thought it was an interesting concept. I liked that it was pretty short, and I don't feel like the ending needed to be super concrete because it was pretty open-ended, but I liked it. I thought it was good. It was a good fun time. Okay, then we have Snowden by the same author as Holiday Romance, and I wish I had read that one. It was nowhere near as good as Holiday Romance, and I really held it to the expectation of the feeling that the Holiday Romance gave me, and it didn't at all, so I was really sad about that, and so I kind of wish I didn't read it. So then we have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, which is best of this year. I love Leigh Bardugo. I'm gonna read whatever she writes, and it's a really interesting story. I've never read about the Spanish Golden Age, so that was interesting. It's like, but there's some magic in there, so it's not just historical fiction. We have The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab, which was also good, not life-changing, because it was a good little, I used it as like a palate cleanser to like hopefully to prevent me from going into a slump, because I love V.E. Schwab's writing, and it's a pretty short book, I think, and it's like there's not a whole lot going on, so it's a cute little fun read. And then we have Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I would erase my memory for Hellbent and Ninth House. I would love to just read them, erase my memory, read them, erase my memory. Like, I love those books. Oh, and bringing us to another, I would erase my memory to read again. Morning Star, Pierce Brown, the Red Rising trilogy. So good. I really, really, really want more fantasy girlies to read that book, or that series, the trilogy. Then we have Ninth House by Erin Morgenstern, best of this year. Her writing is so magical, like you really do feel like you're there, and I don't know, her books are so magical. I'm obsessed. Same, The Starless Sea though, I would erase my memory to read that one again, because it is just as magical and whimsical as The Night Circus, but even more and on a more deeper emotional level. I love books where you contemplate your existence. Okay, moving on to yet another Allie Hazelwood book, which is Two Can Play. This is her little Spotify exclusive audiobook, and it's so cute. It's really short. And it's kind of Christmassy too. So if you're gonna do a Christmassy Allie Hazelwood book, I'd say do that one over Cruel Winter with You. But that one's really cute. I love Allie Hazelwood's writing. Okay, that brings us to another Would Erase My Memory to Read Again, Red Rising. You know, I had to have all the trilogy up there. I'm actually gonna put them in order. Well, I should do them in order of how I love them, which is backwards. So I love Morning Star, Golden Sun. Morning Star, Golden Sun, Red Rising, in that order. Then I have Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. Wish I hadn't read that. That's like a single parent. It's not, the main female character is taking care of her sister's kids. The kids were too much in it. I just was like, I did not want to listen to those children speak anymore. So then we have The Wingman, Stephanie Archer. I have mixed feelings. I don't want to say I wish I hadn't read it. I feel like that's a little bit too harsh, but I definitely didn't think it was as good as her other books, so I was really disappointed by it. Then we have Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I wish I hadn't read that book. It's just, I really did not like the summer camp aspect, and I don't really feel like our characters had like a connection or chemistry at all. So that book just was not for me. And then we have The 7-Year Slip, which I forgot I read that this year. And it was good, just not life-changing. Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. So that's the novella in the same universe as The Serpent and Wings of Night. I thought it was fine. Good, just not life-changing, but like, I don't really think it was super necessary, like, to the series, but it wasn't terrible, so I guess it'll go there. We have One Dark Window, which I would erase my memory to read again because I love One Dark Window, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grab Two Twisted Crowns and put that up there because those two like are a package deal in my head, and I would erase my memory to read them again. See, this is where it gets complicated. So there's Quicksilver on here, which I read and I actually had such a great time reading. I'll just say good, not life-changing, because I actually had a lot of fun reading that and I really enjoyed myself, and I'm gonna read the next one, but it's not like the best fantasy book I've ever read. So yeah, good, just not life-changing. Oh, and then we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I would say I wish I hadn't read that. I really did not like the characters in that book. Specifically at the end, the conflict that it causes them to break up made me furious because it just felt overly dramatized. It felt overly dramatic just for the point of the book, and I did not like that at all. And then we have Masters of Death, which I have mixed feelings about because I really liked the beginning. I just don't like where it ended up, and that was the final book that I have read by Olivia Blake that has made me decide to not read any more of her books. So there's a lot of emotions packed into that reading experience. And then I'm gonna say Apprentice to the Villain. I don't know if I want to say good or best of this year because it surprised me. It was better than I thought it was gonna be. So maybe I'll be generous and give it best of this year because I read the first book, and the first book is pretty cozy and slow, and the romance is like super minimal, but kind of in a good way. So then into this book, the romance gets a little more, but they also expand on the world and like being a villain and stuff like that. And so the second book offers more depth. So I really actually enjoyed it a lot. So I'm gonna put it in best. I'm like, after reading Assistant to the Villain, I wasn't excited to read Apprentice to the Villain, but then after reading Apprentice to the Villain, I'm excited for the next book. So, if that makes sense. Okay, then we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, which is best of this year. I love Elsie Silver's writing. I thought the chemistry between these two characters was really good. And surprisingly, I'm enjoying the single dad romances, even though I'm not big on that trope specifically. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver in just mixed feelings. Because it's not that I wish I hadn't read it, but I wish that it wasn't One of Us' famous trope because I hate that trope. So we'll just say mixed feelings. Intermezzo by Sally Rooney is gonna be would erase my memory to read again, and I'm gonna read it again anyways, just because I'm the age of one of the brothers right now, so I want to wait until I'm older and read it again and see how my perspective changes. And also just like reading celebrity books, you're gonna get something different every single time you read them, so I'm really excited to reread that one. Okay, then She and Her Cat. Wish I hadn't read it. That was a weird book, a really weird book. I didn't enjoy that at all, actually, so yeah, it deserves to be right there. And you know what's really funny? So Powerful by Laura Roberts is actually gonna go in good, just not life-changing, but Reckless is gonna go in I wish I hadn't read this. Because Powerful was cute, a fun little novella, a good little time. Reckless, I said this in my top 24 books of 2024 video, but I don't really think that book needed to exist, and I stand by that. So then we have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. Honestly, I don't really know how I feel about this book. Like, it was good, but I don't ever think about it. But I also, like, I don't think if somebody came up to me and was like, recommend me a fantasy book, this wouldn't be one of my top recommendations. But also if they were looking for, like, a specific trope that I think this book would fit, like, maybe I would recommend it. So, like, I don't know. I do have mixed feelings about the book, therefore it's going in mixed feelings. Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands is gonna go in good, just not life-changing. Yeah, that's where I put the other one, so we'll put them next to each other because those are just cute, fun reads. I'm gonna read the next one, but it's not like a high priority for me. Then we have Fragile Threads of Power for Bested this year. That's a great book. I love V.E. Schwab. I love her writing. I love her characters. I'm gonna read every book that comes out in that series, and I'm really excited for the next one, even though I don't know when it's coming out. Okay, then we have The Maidens, and I'm gonna say that's good, not life-changing. It was more of like a psychological thriller, I feel like. Like, it wasn't, like, I was on the edge of my seat, but I was like, oh, this is creepy. And it was done in a way that I wasn't mad at, because I'm usually mad at a lot of thrillers most of the time. What the River Knows, I wish I hadn't read this. I also really don't like the audiobook, so maybe that has like a lot to do with how strongly I feel wishing I didn't read that book, but it was honestly so boring. For the premise of this girl going to Egypt to like find artifacts, it's so boring. I don't understand. Okay, Powerless by Laura Roberts is gonna go in best of this year because that book is still really good, and I still think it's like a really good execution of a romantasy where it's like a good balance of romance, fantasy, and banter and like world building. So I still really like Powerless, even though I dislike Reckless so much. Okay, let's do All of Caraval at the same time. I'll just say they're all pretty good, not really life-changing though. I really only read these to lead up to me reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, like the whole entire series. They're cute, they're fun, they don't take a lot of brain power. I would say it's a good like palate cleanser if you read a lot of like high fantasy, or like if you need a break from a specific genre. Yeah, they're cute, they're just not crazy good. Then we have Pure Nessie by Susanna Clark, which I would say best of this year, because I wouldn't erase my memory to read that again, because I'm gonna reread it with the perspective that I have now, and I think it's gonna hit even harder. So we're getting really technical, but I wouldn't erase my memory for that book. Okay, then we have Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. I wish I hadn't read that. That was really, honestly, looking back, I feel like super sad, because I was like, oh, I want to like read books that I think I would have enjoyed as a like middle schooler, so that I read this, and then I was like, I'm not a middle schooler, I don't like this book. I don't know, that was just a stupid decision on my part, honestly. So Kingdom of Ash, also in best of this year. That book destroyed me in the best way possible, and I was so happy to be done with it. But not in a bad way, not like I was looking forward to the end, but like I needed to know that it all wraps up properly. Okay, Heartless by Elsie Silver is good, just not life-changing. I unfortunately I don't see the hype about Kate Eaton, and I feel like that people like ride or die for this man. They're like, he's my #1 book boyfriend, and I just like don't really understand why. I didn't think it was that great. My favorite Chestnut Springs book, not that I asked, is Reckless. Theo Silva, I would understand if the hype was for him, but anyways. Okay, then we have Sirens and Muses, which was one of the only literary fiction books I read this year. I didn't read so much lit fic for some reason, but that one was really good. I really, really enjoyed that one. Then we have The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I don't know why I read that. I don't know where. I think it was on Libby, and for some reason I was like, oh, it's available now, I'll just read it. And I didn't like it at all. I thought it was not that great. I did not enjoy that like little romance at all. So I wish I hadn't read it, but okay. Crown of Midnight. Is it? Yeah, I'm gonna say good, not life changing. Because in my opinion, all of the books leading up to Empire of Storms are just books leading up to Empire of Storms. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and grab Queen of Shadows and put it in that, and Heir of Fire and Throne of Glass. Empire of Storms is where it starts for me. So then also I'm gonna go ahead and put Tower of Dawn and Best of this year, which I don't know if people are gonna think I'm crazy for putting Tower of Dawn over the first couple books in that series, but I actually really enjoyed Tower of Dawn. So I am gonna put it in Best of this year. Okay, then we have Phantasma, which was good, just not life-changing. That was like a fun little book. I loved reading that for Halloween, like around the Halloween season. And I'll read the next one, so it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Same with Play Along. I really liked that book at the beginning, and towards, I'd say like the middle to the end, it kind of lost me a little bit. Maybe because one of the tropes is like fake marriage, so they got married. I kind of wish there was more like build up to it, instead of in the first couple of chapters them waking up married. Oh, okay. Then we have Heartless Hunter, which I wish I had read this book. I don't understand why the book is getting so much hype. I really don't think that story is that great. But that's just obviously me personally, my taste. I thought it read very much like a Wattpad book, and that's not what I usually go after, so I did not enjoy reading that one. Okay, then we have Educated, which I would just say Best of this year. I feel like it would be weird if I said I would erase my memory for that book, but it's such a good book. So it changed my perspective on a lot of stuff and gave me a lot of insight into something that I probably never would have got insight into. So highly recommend that book if anybody wants a good memoir to read. Okay, then we have the honestly, for the very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, I'm gonna say Best of this year. That was a really cute book. I really liked it. It was adorable. And I feel like the third act conflict wasn't too bad. Usually that's like my breaking point for a lot of romance books, is I'm like, I can't handle this conflict that's just here for them to get back together and have a happy ending. But that one was really cute. That one took me by surprise. I thought I was gonna not like that one at all, actually. Okay, then we have Please Unsubscribe, Thanks. I wish I hadn't read that. I said this in the video that I had made about reading that book, where this person that wrote the book is very much talking about like emails and like how you need to clear out your inbox and like you need to unsubscribe from emails. And personally, that just doesn't affect me at all. My email inbox has like thousands of emails that are unread, and I don't care. So simply that just does not affect me like it affects this man, apparently. Okay, then we have Slewfoot, which I'm gonna put in mixed feelings because I do wish that I had the proper expectations when going into this book. I thought it was gonna be creepy, horror, like terrifying, but it was more just creepy, disgusting, gory. So wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I really enjoyed the writing style and I want to read more of his books in general. Okay, then we have First Lie Wins. Honestly, I'm just gonna say I wish I hadn't read this because my life would be no different if I hadn't read it. Like, that book really was not that impactful at all. And it wasn't like I had a great time reading it anyways. So yeah, my life would just be no different if I hadn't read that book. Okay, then we have Lady Macbeth, which I'm going to put at, I would erase my memory to read that book again because it's so good. I love the audiobook of that. And I think you should read it. Okay, then we have Juniper and Thorn, which I have mixed feelings about. In that vlog that I read that in, I talk about how I think there should be like a trigger warning page in the book, but there's not. So like, or maybe there is, I didn't check. But check the trigger warnings before reading that book because it is quite triggering. In that book discusses a lot of really triggering subjects. So I should have read that before reading the book. Okay, and the last one, which is so funny, I feel like we're ending on a very normal book, The Fake Out, which I thought was, I guess it was one of the best of this year because I really enjoyed that couple in that book, and I really enjoyed this little hockey romance universe, except for the wingman, which I put in mixed feelings. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good distribution of books here. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole thing. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good distribution of books. And I love tier ranking my books. I had a lot of fun doing that. I would love to know your thoughts on your favorite books of this year, or maybe your least favorite books of this year, or maybe disappointing reads, or maybe books that surprised you. Really anything, let me know. I'd love to hear it. So thank you so much for watching this, and hopefully I will see you next week.